Okay, so we are going to do a quick review video of all the different skills that we've learned so far in preparation for your test tomorrow. So the first thing I want to start with are your interior exterior angles of triangles. So if you remember, we had our triangle, forgive my artistry, and let's say that we had interior angles of 77 and 54. Okay, so to find the third angle, we'll call that x. Remember, the interior angles of a triangle equal 180 degrees. So that means that 77 plus 54 plus that x value has to equal 180 degrees. We can combine our like terms here. 131 plus x equals 180, which means that subtracting 131 from both sides will give us our x value. So that leaves us with 49 for x, and you can check your solution by saying 77 plus 54 plus 49 has to equal 180. And it does. Okay, but let's say instead of a triangle that gives us all two of the three angles, what if we have an expression in there? So what if we have, let's say 25 degrees, and let's say that this one is 25x. Okay, and then our third angle would also be, let's just say this one's 30. Okay, so 25 plus 30 plus 25x has to equal 180. Again, you're combining your like terms, which are your constants here. So it's going to be 55 plus 25x equals 180. Hoping I calculated this right in my head and it turns out to be a whole number. That's okay if it doesn't. So we have 25x equals, these are canceled out, remember, 125. Divide both sides by 25, and you get that x equals 5. Okay, so if x equals 5, then that particular angle of 25x is 125 degrees. These two should be true even after I put x in. They should be the same. Okay, let's talk about exterior angles. I have my triangle. If I extend a side, that becomes my exterior angle. So we'll call this A, B, C, and we'll call our exterior angle D. Remember we said that A plus B plus C equaled 180, and that D plus C equaled 180 because they are supplemental angles right here, which means that if we put A and B and D equal to each other, then that gives us our exterior angle theorem, that A plus B equals D. So if I know, let's say that angle A is 74 degrees, let's say that angle B is 58 degrees, and we want to know what angle D is. Okay, we can add these two together, 74 plus 58, it's 132. So that means that angle D is 132 degrees. And if there's expressions in there, you do it just like we did the interior angles, but just with an expression instead of whole numbers. So that is it for your interior exterior angles of a triangle. Next, we're going to talk about complementary supplementary. Really quick, remember your complementary angles are two angles that equal 90 degrees. Two angles that equal 90 degrees. And then your supplementary angles are two angles that equal 180 degrees. Okay, quick review on that one. And then we talked about parallel lines and transversals. So here's my parallel lines. Here's my transversal. And let's just number these off for simplicity's sake. Okay, so we had our corresponding angles, angles that are in the same place. So your corresponding angles would be angles like 1 and 5. Okay, we would also have angle 2 and angle 6, angle 3 and angle 7, angle 4 and angle 8, and there's no reason to go back the opposite direction and name them because it's the same thing. So that's your corresponding angles. Then we had our alternate interior angles, alternate interior angles, sorry about the overlap. Alternate interior angles are angles that are in the same, are inside the parallel lines and on opposite sides of the transversal. I'm not going to bother changing colors. So that would be like 2 and 7 and 4 and 5. In the same fashion, alternate exterior angles are angles that are on opposite sides of the transversal but outside the parallel lines. So that would be 3 and 6 and 1 and 8. Okay, then we have our same side interior, which would be 2 and 5, 4 and 7, same side of the transversal, inside the parallel lines. Then we had our same side exterior, which would be 1 and 6, and 3 and 8. We also talked about vertical angles. Remember, they're the ones that make V's. Vertical angles would be 1 and 4, 3 and 2, or 2 and 3, however you want to say it, 5 and 8, and 6 and 7. Okay, we talked about all of the angles except for the same side angles are congruent angles, so they are equal. And then your same side angles are supplemental, which means they equal 180 degrees. Okay? All right, then we talked about similar triangles. Remember, if two angles of a triangle are equal, then the triangles are similar. Sides are angles are congruent, sides are proportional. So if I have a triangle with a missing side measure, I can use a proportion to solve it. So if I have, let's say, X and 27, and I have 5 and 9, this was last night's homework, then you can set up your proportion. And you can cross multiply and divide, or you can just use proportional reasoning and say, I know that 27 divided by 3 gives me 9. So that means that 5 times 3 will give me X, and X would equal 15. If you cross multiply and divide, you're going to be doing 27 times 5, and then whatever that answer is, you're going to divide it by 9, and that answer is still going to give you 15. Okay? All right. When you have a triangle within a triangle, a little shaky this morning from my coffee, sorry. 32, X, 16, and 24. You have to combine these two for this length. So 16 plus 24 is 40. So the whole thing is 40. So what you have is a ratio of 32 over 40 and a ratio of X over 24. Okay, so you can go ahead and simplify this down if you'd like, or you can cross multiply and divide. So 32 times 24, 2 times 4 is 8, 3 times 4 is 12, put your placeholder, 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 2 is 6, and add these up. Okay, then we take 768 and we divide it by 40. Okay. Okay, then we get 19.2 is our value for X. And that is pretty much all that we did. I'm going to do a review video for two-step equations, and I'm also going to give you a review video for scale factor, because these are skills that you guys seem to not really remember from last year. Okay? All right.